Sami,
Carla.
welcome to the flip side.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for having me in your house. This is, as I said, the most beautiful setup I've had yet, so thank you.
I have to apologise for the birds who are chiming into the podcast.
Yes. We have a bit of background noise, but, you know, we're in nature. We needed some natural light.
Yep.
It's all for a good cause, so just we'll allow it.
Yep.
All right. Today we're going to have a pretty deep conversation about a lot of things that I think you have so much experience and have spent so much time thinking about, and then to the point of teaching others as well in your jobs.
Yes.
What's your brief history? What did you do, or how did you come to this point?
Brief.
If possible.
There's a lot of years to pack in there. So I grew up in the gym. So before I was born, my sisters did gym. Mum was always there, ended up coaching to help pay the fees. So from a very young age, I was just taken along and in the gym, upside down, trying to copy all the big kids. So natural progression was to try and participate in classes and rein me in a little. Yeah. So at the age of 6, I was scouted for a competitive squad. So I actually started in artistic. Yeah. Was an artistic gymnast, went to my first international competition age 9, so went over to Russia.
Age 9.
Yeah, where my coach was Russian, Vladimir Podobin, and he took me to his hometown to a competition there. Incredible experience. I think a very big eye-opener at that age to how lucky I had things.
And what was possible.
And to see a different culture at such a young age, you know, that real gratitude for what I had back here. Not here, the UK, sorry.
Yeah, back home.
Yes. So carried on with artistic, was competing internationally for a couple of years in artistic, was in a national squad of future Olympic hopefuls. Hated bars, absolutely hated choreography. Flexibility was not my strong suit.
So all of WAG, all of artistic.
I was a phenomenal vaulter, and I was a great tumbler. Yeah, so I would do a double pike on floor, do a turn and basically fall over on the turn, or my split leaps would just stumble. So there was a guy who came into my gym where I trained, who was a tumbler, and he started, you know, training in there, and I'm thinking, oh, that's really cool. Like, he's doing all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I got asked to go and just try a competition for fun. So
a tumbling competition. Yeah, okay.
So I was 11 at the time, so I went and did this regional tumbling competition, and I won that one. So went to a national competition, and I won that one. And this little man sort of came up to me, little short guy, and he said, "Oh, you're amazing. We would love you to come and compete for Great Britain at the World Championships." I was like, cool, where is it? You know, a little 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Over in the audience, my mum's going, "Who's this strange guy talking to my 11-year-old? And I've run over. I said, "Mum, they want me to compete for Great Britain." "Oh, what do you mean?" And it was in South Africa in 1999 at the World Age Championships. So there was lots of talks at home. How do we make this happen? Obviously quite a costly exercise to get over to Sun City in South Africa for 3 weeks. But we made it happen. So that was my introduction to tumbling. All of a sudden, 5 days after my 12th birthday, I hopped on a plane with a team I'd never met. My parents waved me off at the airport.
They didn't come
They didn't come. It was just too expensive.
That's nuts at 12.
Yeah, so I went and just embraced it. Did this competition. My coach didn't go with me, so I was working with these coaches I'd never met. So I had some planned passes. So 12 years old, over I go, and I was like, whoa. We were lucky enough to watch the senior competition, which was really awesome, and it was magical. It just blew me away, this experience.
You remember it? You remember so many detail?
Yeah, so many highlights. My first trip, and the environment was amazing, the team was amazing, the location was amazing in Sun City.
Yeah.
I remember the hotel. I remember the breakfasts. You know, it was just unbelievable. So back then it was 6 qualified to the final. and I came 7th. I didn't compete my double tuck because I was a little bit worried about it. My coach wasn't there. It was such an unfamiliar environment. So I just went with a simpler pass, and I came 7th in the world. Now, at this point, I was still doing artistic and tumbling.
You're doing both
I was doing both.
Okay.
So when I came back, my coach said to me, you know, that was very good. You came 7th, and he sort of gave this proposition, and he said, you can still do both, or you can do artistic. You'd be very good. You know, you can go to the Olympics, or we can concentrate on tumbling. He said, you could be the best in the world. So tell a 12-year-old, you can go and, you know, it might be cool representing your country at the Olympics, or you can just go and be the best in the world. At that point in my life, I was like, I want to be the best. So I remember writing to the national coach in artistic, being like, see ya, you know, I'm done. I've got this really exciting opportunity. And that was it. And then I specialised in tumbling. So from the age of 13, I went across, and that was it. I shifted the focus. My coach actually came with me. So he then created a squad of tumblers.
He came with you?
He came with me, yeah. So he
From
was
artistic?
From artistic.
Wow.
Yeah.
You inspired someone that young.
And it was cool. Like, it was new. It was exciting. It was, you know, this new avenue we were all exploring together. So we had a squad of us. And it sort of took off from there. So that was 99. 2000, I had a doozy.
What was the doozy?
So I was quite young, 13 now. I got selected for the Junior European Championships, which is under 18s.
Yeah.
Quite a hopeful at that time. It was with the national coaches, and there was a little bit of, okay, we think this would be a better tumbling pass, change a few things around, come to competition, completely forgot what I was doing, so I did 2 skills and a straight jump and stood in the middle of the tumble track at the European Championships and went, oops, and just presented to the judges. And I remember walking back, and the national coach, she said, what are you doing? I said, I just forgot my pass.
Yeah, you changed it. I can't remember.
I didn't know what I was doing. And probably that was a lesson for me in you need to communicate. You know, I stayed quiet. I was like, just, okay, do what you're told. And, you know, no real skills of communicating needs or feelings or anything like that. So 2001 was a bit of redemption.
Yep.
So back then, world age was every other year, so every 2 years with the Junior European Championships in between. So 2001, I went with a goal after missing out in 99 from the final. I was like, aim is to qualify. That's it. I'm just going to go, get in the final, and I'll be happy. So I actually qualified in 2nd place, and everyone's going, calculations, what you could do, and, oh, my God, you've really got a shot here, and if you did this, and I'm sat there with my can of Coke and a Mars bar going, okay, cool. And they're like, why aren't you taking it seriously? I'm like, I reached my goal.
Yeah.
Like, anything from here is a bonus. Like, I'm just embracing this environment. And the poor little Russian that was tipped to win, she's just in the warm-up pool, pass after pass after pass. And I'm like, good Mars bar. You know? Just relaxed, like really relaxed. And come competition, I did more than 3 skills. I actually completed my pass.
Yay!
And took the title. So, you know, really amazing feeling. And I think it goes to show that you can really, when you're having fun, when you're enjoying it, you do your best things.
Yeah.
So
and I want to highlight, if possible, you might disagree, but I want to highlight that it may have not been the Mars bar and the can of Coke that was the thing that helped to the win.
Yeah.
It was the mindset that was completely different of like, I'm happy to be here.
So happy to be here.
I'm so happy to be here. At this point, I've achieved my goal. And it didn't even have to be that goal, right? You can do this in any way.
Yeah.
You can set a goal, and it can be a process goal. It doesn't have to be an achievement goal. Do you know what I mean? And then once you settle into that, it's just a good time.
Yeah. And I think we're going to dive into so many topics today. But it's that lack of internal pressure. There was no internal pressure.
Yep.
No expectations from myself other than I've reached a final. Anything from now is a bonus, and it's just time to have fun. So I actually competed a pass I'd never done. So I was like, cool, like, let's have a play. Like, let's try and put something more difficult together. And my coach and the national coach going, what, you've not done this, like, you can't, that's risky, and just do this and you might get second. And I'm like, nah, like, let's do this.
All or nothing.
All or nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a great year. And then it got better and better from there. So 2002, redemption from the European Championship flop in 2000. So I became junior European champion. In 2003, went back and won World Age Championships again. So I think maybe one of the first British athletes to retain a title. And then 2004 hit a big wall and a big hurdle. My first year as senior, which I was so excited for, and I had been working towards. And I was like, senior, international circuit, World Cups, moved to the National Training Centre. But I ruptured my cruciate ligament in my first senior competition. So that was a big setback in the competition.
Aww.
Yeah, in the British Championships.
That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, and just literally landed, dislocated the knee. It sort of popped at the same time. I was facing the audience. I landed and I just sat down, grabbing my knee, going, don't cry, this really hurts, you're fine. But I couldn't move, and the physio came over, sort of popped it back in and carried me off, and, you know, the clap of, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And the first thing I asked when I was sat in the chair, I was like, can I compete tomorrow? Because I had a plan to compete a Miller, and I would have been the first female athlete to do it.
No way.
Yeah, so trained it, landed it, like it was ready. It was just, unfortunately, we went for a 2.5 twisting in prelims, and then the plan to do the Miller in the final, and it just went wrong. So that was a huge setback. I did come back.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like Miller will be a funny word for a lot of people.
A lot of it, yes, sorry.
So I want to emphasize how massive that is.
Yeah.
Miller for a female, it's a triple twisting double back salt. And it's straight.
Yeah.
Straight is the hardest way to do these things. And it's even on trampoline, like on double mini, the discipline that I'm in has only been competed very few times, like less than 5. And Sami is training it on the floor. So I just want to really highlight it, what an achievement that is, just to have been training that skill. And that's incredible. And it hasn't been done in tumbling.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I was devastated. I was, when you're just ready for something, but that's sport, right? That's what happens. So that was a big hurdle. There was a lot of learning throughout that period and throughout the recovery stage. I did come back, so I got selected for World Championships in 2005, 18 months after the injury. So
did you have surgery?
I had surgery.
Yeah,
I had surgery. I moved to the National Training Centre for an intensive rehab program for 3 months. So that in itself had challenges with the rest of my life, which again I'm sure we'll touch on today. It was hard. It was a really hard time. And like I said, learnt a lot about myself, but on reflection probably didn't act on some of those learnings.
Okay.
Which is, a big part of why I love talking about it today. Went back, World Championships 2005, came third. 2006, finally got the World Cups. Like I'd been dreaming of for years. So stepped into the World Cup circuit, which was amazing. And again, we're going back quite some time, like 20 years. So back then, you did World Cups and you got points, and then there was a World Cup final. So it was back in the ranking system. So you went to attend, you had to really go and attend the World Cups if you wanted to qualify for World Cup final. So it was really exciting because you could go earn your points on the World Cup circuit, and then the top 8 at the end of the 2 years would qualify for a World Cup final.
Wow.
So it was every 2 years. Yeah, it was really...
That's an interesting, I didn't know
really
that.
fun. So unfortunately I missed World Cups in 2005 because I was still rehabbing, but I went and attended, I think, 5 World Cups in 2006 and got
That's a lot of World Cups.
It was a lot, but bear in mind, when you're in Europe, it's very easy to hop around. We did a lot of back-to-backs. So we did like Bulgaria, Belgium, America, Canada. So we tied them in. We had one in China, which wasn't so great. But 2006 was a killer year. So won a fair few World Cups, got some medals, won the Senior European Championships, and then won the World Cup final at the end of 2006.
You won the World Cup final.
I won the World Cup final.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a really amazing year. I had a point to prove that year because post World Championships in 2005, after coming back from rehabbing and getting back out in the international circuit, my coach left the gym that I was at. So he actually there was a lot of political things that I didn't understand going on at the time, but he moved 3 hours away. And he said
and
to
that was
me,
the one that came across with you originally?
I'd had him from the age of 6.
Would have been really hard.
Right through till I was 18. Incredibly difficult. He asked me to go with him. And again, I was 18 and I had a lot of things and study and life and partner, and to up and move my life wasn't something I was prepared to do. So the next few years became quite challenging. So 2006 was a real point to prove of this won't beat me. Like, I won't be broken by this. But the cracks did start to show.
Yeah, when you cling on to something like that so tightly, it's like,
And again, these learnings, I look back now on my journey, I'm like, could have handled that one better. But in the time and with the emotion and the age and maybe the lack of maturity to an extent, I probably wasn't equipped enough to deal or manage. And I hadn't built a system that was going to help me navigate these. So
that's hindsight, right? It's always like,
it's great.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. But, you wouldn't be here talking about it if you'd done it all perfectly.
Well, exactly. And I think, I've learned so much. I went on to 2007. I then had injury challenges. I had skill challenges that came in. It got really hard. I just felt like I was constantly trying to climb a mountain on my own. And so by the end of 2007, I had completely lost the love of the sport. And it's quite sad that that's where it got to. I think there's many reasons for that, which, again, we'll touch on today. But it got to the time where I was like, I'm not enjoying it anymore. The love is not there and it's becoming a chore. So I went to World Championships in 2007 with a lot of skill challenges. I had to compete in the preliminary rounds just to enable me to be able to progress and compete as a part of the team final.
Right.
But I couldn't compete my second pass because it was a twisting pass and I was having the twisties and a lot of issues.
That they're now known as,
Yeah, but to get a score, I had to stand on the tumble track, present, and walk off. And that was the hardest thing I have ever had to do.
So you did do that?
Yeah, so I competed the first pass, the straight pass.
Yeah.
I think I was about 3 or 4 marks ahead in the lead. So everyone, expecting big things. Sami Palmer's stepping up on the tumble track, and to step in, present, and walk off, the stadium was silent, and you could hear a pin drop, and just everybody gasped, and I just walked off, and I just remember completely breaking down. I just went into the hallway, and I cried, and it was really...
Oh, I'm crying for you.
Yeah, it was a really hard moment.
Yeah.
I had to compete in the team final the next day. They needed my score, I wanted to do that for the team. My score was still strong enough to help carry them to a medal.
Yeah, with that
pass, with the straight pass, with the first pass, but it broke me. It really, was really tough. So went home from that event and never went back in the gym. That was
the last one.
That was the last time. Yeah. So from there, had a whole big hole literally in my life, which is where I had a realization of I didn't know who I was without being an athlete. So grabbed a backpack. I went and did Camp America. So I went and just was a camp counselor, met some amazing people, traveled in America. While I was there, I had a very odd phone call from an agent who had got my number off someone asking if I wanted to come and do some acrobatics and stunts in pantomime. So I was like, cool, quite a well-paid gig. So came back from the States and went and got a little pub job just to tie over for a couple of months, and then ended up in Edinburgh, so in Scotland, doing Aladdin. So I was one of the police women in Aladdin, doing stunts in the show. It was so much fun. And it was, I think, even just connecting back in with, doing some tumbling was really amazing. From there, I got offered another job in a casino in Portugal in a big show, which unfortunately fell through.
Oh.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh, what now?
Yes.
I had been running, really, running from the whole figuring out who I was.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, well, I'll go to Australia. Grabbed a backpack, a one-way ticket, and came to Australia and landed here, travelled for a while, and then needed a job. And it was that realisation of I don't have many other skills. So I stepped into coaching. And connecting back in with gym and coaching, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then from coaching, I started a tumbling program. And then after that, I stepped into some work at Gymnastics New South Wales. From there, stepped into some work at Gymnastics Australia, worked at the New South Wales Institute of Sport, and found my way just very organically back into high performance. And then what was really shining through for me was the real desire, I think, and passion to support high performance athletes and coaches through the journey, which is where it sort of weaved and ended up landing in the wellbeing space, which is where I've been for about 4.5, 5 years now.
Do you think that the passion or seeking out of that came from what you felt like you were missing during your journey, like that void that you were left with?
I think definitely. There was a real point, especially when I stepped away, that I didn't feel very well supported, and I didn't know who to talk to, and I didn't have connections that I could lean into. And I think it was that feeling. I never want an athlete to feel like there isn't support for them, or that they can't lean in to someone who's been there, or, so just it really does drive what I do now. But also, I was not a perfect athlete, and like I said, I learned a lot about myself, and maybe some of the things I could have done better, maybe some of, even considering things from a different perspective, which I maybe didn't do at the time. Helping athletes see that now is really important. I think, did I get all the information I needed to make informed decisions? Absolutely not. I made decisions based off emotion, which is like the number one rule not to do. So, I look back on my journey. Do I regret parts of it? Yeah, probably. I wish I'd have done things different. But at the same time, I'm incredibly grateful that, the way I went through my journey has actually led me to be here and to be able to give back and to help in a really meaningful way. Yeah. So I'm also not, I don't regret any choices.
Yeah, it's not really a regret. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my brief summary, which wasn't very brief.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you think that getting back into coaching was quite healing for you? Or do you feel like it just was something that flowed, it was natural?
I think it was natural. I think it healed, but I think it also gave me a realization that coaching is not my passion. And not, in a way I coach well-being, but I mean the physical, technical coaching. That just, and maybe I spent every night in the gym. I did morning training. I trained on weekends. I had so much time in that environment that I was like, I actually want to give back and do some work where I don't have to be in a gym from 4 to 8 every night. I would like to go home and eat dinner with my partner. And I would like to not have to get up for morning trainings. So
you did that for how many years?
Yeah, a lot of years.
Now I'm going to do it for my adult life too.
Loved it. And when I'm in those environments, I'm like, gosh, there's a part of me that misses it, but I also recognize it's maybe just not the avenue for me. Self-reflection.
Self-reflection, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the summary. That's I didn't know a lot of your journey, so it's actually really special to hear it for the first time in this context, and now it's recorded and you made me cry and it's out there. I think it's really cool. But we'll get into our topics that we're thinking of.
I'm excited.
Is there one that you really want to kick off on that you're feeling?
Yeah, I think biggest learning, or actually there was a lot, but one of the biggest learnings for me is support network. Yeah. Build your team. And the way that I think about this sometimes now is like a web. So, you can build a web on your own as an athlete, but it's going to take you a long time. Yes. But B, it's not as strong as it could be if you've got many people working in that web. So create a strong web. So when those challenging things come up, whether it's injury, whether it's non-selection, whether it's a relocation, or, there are so many things. It could be something outside of sport completely that happens in life. Unfortunately, life throws curveballs too. Yeah. You have a network there to lean on when that stuff gets hard. So I think that for me was biggest. And we can often think of, support network. Okay, we need an S&C and we need a physio and we need
nutrition and all the things that support physical health.
But it's so much more.
It's
Who is the person that you can talk to when your emotions are a little bit all over the place, and you might not necessarily need a sports psychologist.
Yeah.
But there could be other avenues. It could be a partner. It could be a parent. It could be a teammate. You know, everyone plays a really important role. So yeah. Have a look who is in your network, because they are going to be the ones that when you're managing those really challenging times can help lift you up. I was probably one of those really headstrong athletes that thought, I can do everything.
And I think we kind of grow up in that environment of, especially in an individual sport, of do it yourself kind of thing. Yeah. And a lot of the time you do have to do it yourself. Yeah. And that's more, I think, in the driving yourself for that physical and mental excellence. But you can be supported in that. Yes, you have to, at training, get to that place where you can execute on your own and in competition. Yeah. But if you have a web of people in your network, that's the village that it really takes to actually have that output for you.
Yeah, and we're human beings, right? We have emotions. We cannot be on all the time. Yeah. Your motivation is definitely going to dip. So many things are going to impact training. So when you have some of those things, when you turn up to training, and it's easy to say, okay, leave your baggage at the door, walk in, you're at training, fresh start. Yeah, okay, great in theory. But sometimes we actually need a little bit of help in those moments. So, which sort of leads to something we'll talk about later, is just being able to really know yourself, know what you need, and know how to communicate it. Because it's all good and well you've built these people. Yeah. But if you're not talking to those people and open with those people, they don't know. No one can be blind.
They can be there for you as much as they want, and not in the ways that you actually need it if you can't tell them what you need.
Yeah. And so I think support network is one of the best things that you can do.
How would you go about starting?
I think starting by just looking at who have I currently got? Who are my people? And thinking of different scenarios. Like if I've had a bad training session, who do I talk to about it? Yeah. Who's the person that I know I can spill, unpack, word vomit, absolutely everything. Any emotion that needs to come out, who's that person that is not going to judge you and is going to be there for you? Yeah. I had that with my mum. I love my mum to bits, and she was my number one supporter and picked me up through everything. There were times where I needed my mum to be my mum and not my therapist. And so, again, being quite young, probably didn't communicate that the right way. It was more like shut up, mum, I don't want to talk about it, rather than, hey, mum, I just need you to be my mum now. But, so my mum was my rock, really. Went through injury, she was there. Through bad training, she was there. She built a very good relationship. And this is a good point too, like having your people in your web and your support network also very integrated. Like you've got to be working together. If everyone is in silos, it may not be connecting.
That's a good point, because I think that in initial describing of the web, you can think of it in a way of, okay, I can have these people for this person for this, and blah, blah, blah. But if you think about it, like we were talking about just before we started, in the way of, if you're pulling on a web somewhere, you're affecting all parts. And so if we can work together, if something goes wrong over here and there's a hole in the web, everyone else can kind of pull together to help you out to not let it all fall apart.
Yeah, and this was key. So I would maybe sometimes get in the car from training, and Mum would just tell, like my aura, my face, my body language. She's like, okay, we're not going to ask how training is. We're going to drive home in silence. It's a silent kind of car trip, this one. Yeah. But what Mum would do would often, if that was happening, multiple days in a row or more frequently, she would just pick up the phone to my coach and say, hey, noticing this with Sam, is there anything going on? Yeah. What do you need me to do? What's happening? So they had a very good relationship. Flip side, sometimes, and at the time, again, being, young teenager, hated my mum for it, but understand now with all my knowledge that I have, it was key. So I would sometimes go to the gym And before I got there, she would have told my coach, oh, she's got a period and she's probably really tired or she's really grumpy.
Yeah.
It was
like, oh, Mom.
so embarrassing for me. And I'm like, I can't believe you told him that I've got my period. But it impacts your training.
Yes.
And he needed this information. I, at that age, wasn't comfortable going in and telling him that
I'm on day one.
Yeah,
it's really
exactly.
shit today.
I think, but we're talking 25 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So
And
times have shifted.
I was about to say it's actually really refreshing how much easier that is.
So much easier
in the
in
gym
today.
environment now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, especially I've noticed where I train the girls together, they'll talk together, especially the younger ones, like you're describing, that younger age of 16, 17, it's like a bit awkward or, and they're okay with talking about it. And something else we've been talking about a lot, which I know through Belinda Cox, is the incontinence.
Yeah,
and
huge.
So, in trampolinists, it's almost 9 in 10 that are weeing themselves a little bit because of so much pressure, and that's tumbling as well.
Tumbling, double mini, all of it. Yeah,
all of those. And so it's so nice to see the girls be like, well, weed a little.
Hold it in. I think we know so much more now than we did. Like I said, I retired 20 years ago, so I'm talking 25, 26 years ago. But again, I think the more we can share these stories, the more people talk and the more people make it common knowledge, the better it's going to be for our next generation of athletes. You know, I wasn't as open. I was lucky that, I had enough people in my web that could help me with that. Yeah. So, and this is my point. If there's times where you can't manage it on your own, you might not want to admit that, but the people around you that help build you up will.
Yeah. And maybe the more outgoing people are going to be okay saying those types of things, and then the others are going to stand on the sidelines and not feel comfortable. And that's where you need to lean on those people that help you to feel comfortable and can have that communication in the web if you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else to touch on too is, as an athlete, right, we place a lot of expectation on ourselves, and we understand it's a commitment, right? Mm-hmm. Like being in your sport is a commitment. The time from the people that are in your network, and I know as a young person, mum and dad, thank you, helped me with so much in terms of financial support, time commitment. Like it was mum who had to get up at 5:30 in the morning to drive me to training before I could drive. Yeah. Family holidays were always around my competitions. There's so much family commitment, and also, the people, the physios, everyone, your coaches. So when we don't perform, not only do you feel like you're letting yourself down, but there's such an element of I've let my whole team down. Yes. And I think, again, that's something that we need to shift the frame on, because your team are there because they want to be and they want to support you and they want the best for you.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, you're not letting them down. If they are showing emotion, it's because they feel for you, because they know how much you've put in and how much you're capable of, and you might not have a good day, and that's okay. Yes. But just reminding yourself that you're not letting people down and that they're choosing to be a part of your web. Like, that's a really important thing.
Absolutely. I have a little story actually on that, of the around the time where I realized that. Yeah. And honestly, it was not that long ago. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. It was maybe, I would say 4 years ago at National. So what would I have been, 23? Yep. And all my family came, and even like some of my cousins came. Oh. It was awesome. And I've been so lucky with my family coming to competitions, and it's one of my favorite things is to look out in the crowd and just be like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. I'm going to cry. Okay, got to do my pass now. So I remember I fell and I wanted to get a score for qualifying for, I can't remember what comp. Anyways, I go out, I'm just beside myself. I'm like crying. I haven't got this score. Like I know that this means I'm not going to get selected. I don't have another score. And everyone's like coming around, being my family and being like, it's okay. And I'm like, oh my God, don't even like look at me. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed that you guys came all this way to watch that. And I just like shit the bed. Like, I'm so embarrassed that you spent money to fly here to do this, blah, blah, like that whole narrative that I was spinning. And then I don't know what or why I was listening to during that time after. And I remember thinking, oh my God, if I went to watch someone I love do something that they love am I thinking, oh God, that was disgusting. Can't believe
I wasted my time going there.
No,
Yeah.
exactly what you said.
Yeah.
You're feeling for them because you know how much they put into
Yeah.
it. And you're not going to be disappointed if they don't perform. You're not there for watching them perform. Like, of course, that's part of it, but it's not like you must perform or I'm not going to be happy that I came here.
Yeah. And you can't feel that guilt, like,
No.
because that guilt will build more internal pressure.
Yes.
Or you're thinking there is external pressure.
Yeah.
When there's not. There's no external pressure from those support people.
No, it's
They're
all manufactured,
because,
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's what you do. Oh, I've got to do well because they all need me to do well because they've invested so much. Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah. Same. Like, I mean, went all the way to Holland and did three skills and a straight jump. Like, I was like, oh, sorry. Oops.
Yeah.
But again,
and that's the thing. The reflex is like, sorry. Like, what? You know, why are you apologizing? It's, yeah.
But it's, again, like, what do we learn?
Exactly.
And it's always going back. And, you know, do we fail? I mean, I don't like to think we fail. We just learn. We just keep learning.
Yeah.
And all you've learned is how it doesn't work. So you're not failing. It's like, I just know how it doesn't work and now I need to try something different.
Yeah. And that might not work again and again and again until you figure out the formula that works for you. Yeah. And then the formula changes sometimes and then you got to try again. Yeah.
And another good little, just maybe a metaphor or maybe another way to think of how important your team are, or in your team, all the different roles they play. So if I was really prepared, I would have brought a dice with me.
Let's imagine one.
Yeah, there's one over there. But let's say we roll a dice and it's on the table in front of us. Tell me what number you see.
Okay.
You see a number on the side. What do you see?
Okay, I'm seeing a 3 on the side.
Okay, well, I see a 4.
Okay.
So who's right?
Well, we're both right.
Exactly. So no one in your support team is right or wrong.
Yeah.
But everyone comes with a different perspective, and that's really important too.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're number 1 on the dice and everyone else is going to bring a different perspective from their area of expertise. And it's about, again, just connecting those dots together and making sure that your dice is flowing and rolling. And
yeah, and you're looking at when someone offers you another perspective, actually considering it, not just shutting it down because you've got your idea of what is.
Yeah.
That's really hard. That's a hard skill to learn.
Absolutely.
Because having strong opinions is something we're almost brought up to do.
I think as an elite athlete, you are also incredibly headstrong. Like, you have to be. I think it's a trait. It's a strength. It's but you can overplay that strength, and it can become a weakness. When I was incredibly stubborn, and probably very difficult to coach in hindsight when I look back, and I
don't have to look back to know that I'm quite difficult to coach sometimes.
I would constantly challenge my coach. He's like, okay, we need to do this, and I'm like, I don't need to do that. I need to do this, and he's like, no, we need to do 7 reps. And I'm like, no, I need to do 3.
You're like, pretty sure
3. I know my body. And he's like, I'm your coach. And look, we would always meet in the middle at 5. So I did work out over time. I was like, hang on, he's chucking the reps really high here because he knows I'm going to try and bargain. And then we meet in the middle, which is actually what he wanted. Smart. But again, it comes back to, you know, he's bringing his perspective and his technical expertise. And I was so stubborn, like, no, I don't need to do that. It's like, well, actually, he's probably got a better lens on that than you do.
His side of the dice might be a little bit more useful in this situation.
Yeah, and, you know, injury management is a big one. It's like, you know your body and you think, well, I can manage this, and that niggle doesn't necessarily need time off, but your physio comes from their perspective and their knowledge and their expertise. So if that physio tells you, you know, actually you need to reduce your load and have 2 weeks off, you need to be okay with going, okay, that's what I need to do, rather than, but it's only a 6 out of 10, so I can keep going.
Only 6.
Yeah, something I probably do way too much of now.
Okay. That's a good point. If you don't mind if we go a little bit more on injury, is I think getting someone that you've been through a few with and that you trust and they know your body well is important, and you have to start somewhere with that. You can't have that on day one when you first find them. But I think it is important, if you don't feel quite right about what they're saying and what you're feeling, I think it is important to get other opinions.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
It's very easy to, when you don't know, to go with the first opinion that you get. And I've had so many stories of athletes as a chiro, it's like breaks my heart a little bit, that they're going, oh, you're never going to jump again.
Yeah. Oh, I got told
that's
that.
it.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. And that is so rare for bodies to completely be done. It can happen, absolutely, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And so for young kids to be told that and be pulled from sport just really breaks my heart. So get more opinions, and sometimes it is the case and it is rough.
Yeah.
But most times it's not.
And I think that's the same with psychology.
Yep.
That's a big one. And I've worked with a lot of athletes who have seen a psychologist and gone, oh, it doesn't work. It's not right for me. And I challenge them to say, is psychology not right for you, or did you not have a rapport with the person? And it's the same across all your service providers, really.
Definitely,
and even your support people.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to feel comfortable. You have to build a level of trust. And if it's not coming easy and you're not getting what you need from whatever support service it is or conversation it is, then you need to be brave enough to explore something else.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I think sometimes it can be 3-4 psychologists till you find the one.
Yeah.
But don't be closed-minded. Like, don't write it off because the first one or two didn't work.
Yes.
Everyone offers a slightly different style, a different technique.
Yeah.
If you've worked across multiple coaches have slightly different techniques. There's no right or wrong. Everybody is unique. So it's what is working for you and what do you need. And even as a young athlete, just being able to acknowledge that and being able to speak up to your person that you've built in your team, your mum, your dad, your coach. It might be a coach, it might be a friend, but to be able to voice that.
Yeah,
I think
it's not that, and to identify with yourself even that it's not that I'm not happy with psychology, I'm just not happy with this person right now.
Yeah.
And I think it, like you said, for all service providers, it also carries the point of, you said it, it's not about finding the answer you want. It's about finding the care that you need.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just going to keep going until I hear what I want them to tell me, not the case.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not the case.
And if the 3 people have told you the same thing, maybe it's time for that internal reflection of there's a common denominator here and that's me.
I think it's me.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good segue to self-awareness.
If you do need to have a hard conversation and it's not something you feel you can do on your own, or you need someone to support you with it, that's important to have in your network. Again, it just comes back to who am I comfortable with when I'm facing some challenges, who can be that person I can lean on to help me with that conversation.
Yes, you reminded me exactly. So when you're choosing your people, and you said your mum was someone that you relied on, and for me, I know my partner Sean is someone I rely on, that I feel super comfortable to just blurt it all out and be like, no, this sucks and that sucks, or like, this was so great and I'm so happy with this, and he'll be that hype man in either direction when you need it, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But what if someone doesn't have that? Where do you start with actually finding a person you feel comfortable with, or taking that first step to talk to them about it, test the waters, or do you ask them directly? What would you say is the best method to go forward?
I just start by looking who's closest to you. Who do you see every day? Like might be your teammates at training. It might be school friends. Like I had some very good school friends, completely nothing to do with gym. They were my biggest cheerleaders, but they were also a really safe space for me to talk through things with that were not connected to my daily training environment.
Yep.
And I think that was also really important, because sometimes people within the same environment, you might be navigating the same challenges, or, you've gone through the same things, but you actually want a completely fresh perspective.
Yes.
And I think for me, it was school friends, having people that didn't know the nitty gritty ins and outs of elite sport, but saw me go through the ups and downs, that could just be that space. One of my best friends at school, if I was like a yo-yo or like really struggling, she would always talk to my mum and be like, is Sammy okay? You know?
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, but she would tell me like, oh, I spoke to your mum about it, because again, there is a trust piece that sits there as well, and that confidentiality piece.
Yeah.
Because you know, you don't necessarily want your person who you trust, you know, implicitly to then go speak to someone on your behalf without knowing.
Yes. In most cases, like you said, if you've built that integration, then you're ready for it and you know that that's a possibility.
But I think too, even when you start and you lean on people and you have the conversations, being clear with people is okay.
Yes.
And saying, I don't want you to tell anyone else, or I don't need this actioned. I just need to speak about it.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes just having a space where you can waffle and get some things, because half the time once it comes out and once you speak about it, you go, that's probably not as important as I thought it was to me, and it's okay. The other one too, if you do struggle leaning in, even with people you really trust and having those conversations, journal. So writing it down.
Yeah.
Because again, sometimes it is just getting it out your head.
Yes.
So by journaling, and if something, you know, is really bothering you, you journal about it, and a week later it's still bothering you, and a week later it's still there, then maybe it's time you really need to lean on someone and get some support.
What's the action piece there? Yeah.
Yeah, but if it's just, I've written it down and I actually feel better because it's out my head, it's on paper, that could also be, you know, if you don't feel at the moment you have that trust circle or people to lean on, then that's another great way to just, you know, self-manage.
Manage. Yeah.
But I really do encourage you to build your people, build your team. Because like I said, when non-selection happens, when injuries happen, it could even just be a really shit training session.
Yeah.
To have people to lean on when you just can't pick yourself up is really important.
Yes. Yeah. I think having people is so important. And I also think that having your own strategies is so important. Like you said, journaling is a big one. Something that I like to do, because I'm a bit of a talker, if no one's noticed yet. Started a podcast, guys, so I could literally have to listen to myself talk when I edit.
How was my brief introduction?
Yeah, so you can relate.
Yep.
I actually have, over the years, so many now videos of, I sit there, I record myself, and I blurt it out, and I talk it out. And by the time I'm finished talking it out, I've talked myself into the solution.
Yeah,
how fantastic
self-therapy.
Is that?
Much cheaper.
Yeah, not a replacement.
Not a replacement.
No. But it's it's been such a amazing tool that I kind of just did. I was like, I don't know, maybe we'll get something out of this later. And exactly like journaling, when you go back to it, you're like, oh, right, that time. And
I can attest to that. And I think, so even in my adult age now, I have what I call my work wife, my one person that I will call.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ah. And half the time, similarly, I will talk about something and then find the solution and be like, yeah, I was probably over exaggerating for a moment there, wasn't I? It was really not that bad.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is just being able to have a really safe space to word vomit everything out.
Yeah. And either hear it or read it. Like, so that it's real. It's not just half sentences in your head. Because I think that's the trap as well with thinking about it and just marinating on it and letting it simmer for so long, is that you don't really think in full sentences.
No.
So you're just like springing these key words and thoughts and just spiraling on them rather than fully formulating the idea.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it makes more sense. And it makes more sense to your brain.
And it becomes really rational. Like, and then your thoughts go here to here to here, and all of a sudden it's become this huge mountain.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yes.
It's really not. So I think getting it out on paper or through talking just rationalizes the whole situation.
Yeah. We'll move on to self-awareness. We were jumping to next.
Yeah. So self-awareness, there's two parts for me. So the first part of self-awareness is knowing what's important to you. So that is values.
Yeah.
So taking the time to sit with yourself and working out your values, which is what really matters, what's important to you. But not only that, they're just words until you can actually put that into action. So what does that mean? So if I value communication, for example, which is one of my top values, if I value communication, when things are going great and everything is, just tracking along really nicely, I'm communicating well, I'm speaking with my partner, I'm communicating at work, like I'm being honest with myself, that internal narrative, like I'm talking to myself nicely, all of these things. However, when things start to maybe go a little sideways, life throws a curveball, it's all of a sudden you're like, shit, what's going on? When I get stressed, my actions, like I feel it and then I start to internalize. So my behaviors, instead of communicating well, I don't communicate. So sometimes it's the absence of something. So it's the absence of communication. So that's going directly against one of my core values. So from there...
And no wonder life doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. I'm totally misaligned.
Yeah.
It's like, I really value communication, yet when shit gets hard, I internalize, I stop communicating, I try and manage everything on my own, I don't lean into my network, and all of a sudden... I'm being pulled away from what really matters.
Yeah.
So the first piece of work I think anyone needs to do is identifying values, knowing what's important to you, who is important to you, and what that behaviour looks like. When things are going really well and tracking along, how does it feel? Like, what are you doing that is keeping you aligned to those values? But then the flip side, when shit gets tough, when things are going wrong, what are my actions? What do I feel internally? Like it might be the anxiousness, butterflies. It might be your internal narrative is flipped to negative. And what are those actions that people see, like that you actually are putting out there into the world?
Yes. That's such an important part is like not only what am I doing, but what am I portraying to the world?
Yeah.
Because I think that, and it's not in a way that you should feel super self-conscious and insecure about your actions and what you're doing. It's in a way of like, am I putting out and contributing into the world the person that I want to be?
Yeah. Yeah. So, for me as well, family, big one, and connection. So for me, when things are going well, again, and we've got all the time and, things are tracking nicely and there's no curveballs, we'll be making sure we have dinner together and we go on weekends and we go adventuring and we do stuff. And there's that real family connection. I feel connected to my kids, my partner, with, just making the time for each other. Now, when life gets hairy and other stuff comes up and it's not going well, we just get so stuck in our own world that, I'm like, kids are eating dinner there, I'm trying to do this, trying to do that, and it becomes not a priority to make that time. And again, there's that misalignment of values. So what is so important to me and the way that I'm living through my journey of life is actually not being played out because I'm letting all these other things take over. And so with that comes this feeling of stress, anxiety, dissatisfaction because I'm not getting that connection and I'm not spending the time with my family that I need to keep myself whole.
Yeah, so, lack of motivation, big one.
Absolutely huge lack of motivation because everything starts to feel too hard.
Yes.
So the really important thing is when you start to feel these internal things and you pause and you reflect, and this is a self-awareness, and go, why have I got these feelings of like really bogged down, really unmotivated, I'm not feeling satisfied, like what is going on? And being able to identify and go, well, I haven't had dinner with my family for 4 days because I'm prioritizing everything else. And then we're letting things, build up and it's just pulling me so far away and hooking me away from what's important.
Yeah.
So that's a really, and especially as an athlete.
Yeah, that's a huge one. I think the time that you would be wanting to ask yourself that question is when everything feels hard. That's the pause moment. It's like, things are going to be hard sometimes, but it's not meant to feel like you are constantly snowed under. And and it happens to all of us. Like, and it still happens to me. It's like absolutely not trying to say, I have it all figured out. No way. Only 2 weeks ago, I was feeling super snowed under. And that's the moment where you pause and you're like, okay, am I living inside my highest values? And one, do I know what they are?
Well, if you don't know what they are, like you can't live by them.
Yeah, exactly. And that moment might be the wake up to be like, okay, I need to actually figure out what is important to me and what makes me feel whole.
Yeah.
And then you can work from there.
It's about knowing yourself. Like,
Yeah.
how can you expect anyone else to know you if you don't know who you are and you don't know self?
Yeah.
But to your point, when I think I have this like memory of when I was training and probably got to the point where just everything was bogging me down. And I just remember like standing on I used to carry like a sandwich tub of chalk, and like, I stood on it, flipped over and spilt, and I just cried. And I was like,
that was the last straw.
that was it. Like, it's like if you're crying because you step on a chalk bucket and spill your chalk, there's a little bit of work to be done there. On like, why am I feeling this way? But I think
that's a great point to highlight, that when it's the little things, when it's the little things. Actually, my coach Tom said something to me that really resonated with me maybe last year. He said, there's usually something in your life, the stress that's like a 6, 7, 8, it's getting up there. That's when everything starts to feel really hard. And so all these other little things around it feel like 6, 7s and 8s, and they're probably 1s and 2s. Yeah. And like that's a perfect example of the chalk bucket being one.
The chalk. So ridiculous.
Yeah, and it just really gets you, and that's when you look at it and go, oh, okay. I have a 6 or a 7, I have an 8 or a 9.
Yeah,
that's really impacting me, and that's why everything feels bad. So what can I do to manage that thing?
Yeah,
and that ties back into leaning on the network.
Yeah, and I think I had to really stop and pause post-injury. Mm-hmm. So really tough time.
Yeah.
Really tough time. Woke up from the surgery and they were like, oh, surgery went great. Well, first I remember getting the call and they were like, good news, it's not your meniscus. I was like, and the bad news? Oh, you don't have an ACL left. Right. They were like, it's snapped like an elastic band. I was like, oh.
Thank you for the visual.
Yeah. So I had the surgery and waking up, he said, oh, went great. They did the hamstring graft. So took 2 strings of the hamstring round, drilled. I've got all these like puncture holes. Yeah. And he said, it'll be, you'll be able to recover, but you're not going to be able to do the load that you previously could. Like to tumble like that is not going to be similar to what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Is you're not going to be able to do that. Now, I think I mentioned I was a bit of a stubborn athlete.
So your response was, we'll see about that.
Precisely. Tell me I can't tumble. What are you talking about? So, but it was hard. I went home from hospital and I had one of those self-inflating ice pack things, like every half an hour. Having to learn to walk again, having to learn to touch my toes again while my hamstrings rebuilt, like all the therapy. Went up to the National Training Centre. That intensive rehab program really, I think, got me on my feet and in the right direction. It was amazing. Full support team around me, physio every day, like twice a day.
That's fantastic to have.
So good to have. And I was, I would have been like fresh 17-year-old. Was rehabbing with some soccer players who had also done ACLs, so that made it a nicer environment. But to have people going through the same thing, it was good. Did my 3 months of rehab, went home. And at that point of going home, everything felt hard because I'd had this incredible network. I went home and I didn't really have a network at home because during my career I was actually incredibly lucky. Beyond, I chipped an ankle bone from squeezing my legs together in my whips so much. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so I got a floaty bone in there somewhere. But I didn't have any major injuries. So I really only went to physio when something went wrong, not for maintenance. I didn't have massage. I didn't have a psychologist. Mum, love her, sort of stepped in there. I didn't really have a big network around me. So, and my coach was there, but probably not the soft recovery sort of person back then.
Gotcha.
So to go from being in an environment where everyone was going through the same thing and having all support on hand every day to being at home and needing to self-motivate, get up, do it all again, learn how to cartwheel at 17 with a boyfriend and a life. And I actually tried distance school. So I'd finished school, but I was in what they call sixth form over in the UK, which is sort of like you leave and you do sixth form or college before uni. So I was studying psychology and a BTEC in sport, like a sport management type course. I fell so far behind during the intensive rehab program that when I went back to school, they said, well, you've fallen so far behind, you'll need to start the year again next year. And I was like, hang on, all my friends are moving up. I will be with younger people. So I, which I probably regret this one, chucked the towel in and just was like, okay, well, I'll just focus on rehab. Mm-hmm. However, the challenge was not having a very strong web. My rehab also fell off. So I started turning towards socializing, going out, hanging out with friends. And I was like, wow, I've never done this. Like, I've always been training. I've always been in the gym. So I would say I embraced the reduced hours.
You did this.
Embraced the reduced hours, yeah, and really deprioritize the hard work that needed to happen. So I was pretty much, through my own behaviours, self-sabotaging. Mm-hmm. Now, at the same time, it felt shit. I was like, I can't round off, I can't tumble, I can't do this, strength's boring, it's hard. I wasn't going to the gym. So, like, I was back home, but I wasn't going to the gym and being in the environment. I was like, oh, I'll just do it at home. What's the point in going? I can't drive. Mum had to drive me. Like, it was all just building up. And
was the social life side,
I think,
treating you well?
I think it was a distraction.
Okay.
I think, to be honest, it was great. Sure, going out, like partying, doing all the things that I, didn't really do a lot of.
Yeah.
But it was just self-sabotaging and distracting and not addressing the hard things.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had a moment where team got selected for senior Euros. Obviously, I would have meant to have been there, and it would have been my first international senior competition.
Yeah.
And I was so happy for the team, but I was also disconnecting from it. I was like, I don't want to follow them, like, whatever. But then they went away. And naturally, through social media, through, things, the team won. And everyone had great performances. And then there's the photos of, the banquets after and all the people.
Yeah.
And I just had this, like, sinking heart moment of, like, that should have been me. I should have been there. What am I doing? And I had to sit in that really uncomfortable space going, my behaviour, my actions are pulling me so far away from where I want to go. Yep. I value communication. I wasn't speaking to anyone about how I felt and why I was self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
I didn't lean into the people around me. I internalized. Everything I was doing was pretty much directly against every value I hold.
Yeah. And so even though you had a big social network at that time, you weren't using it to live in your values. Yeah, yeah. And so I think that can get a bit misconstrued for some people. It's like, well, she was just having a social life, she never had a social life. And that's true. And like you said, you had a good time, but it wasn't actually towards what you wanted.
No, and wasn't tapping into it for the right reasons. Yes, I was using it as that distraction from the hard stuff I had to face.
Yeah.
So it was sitting in that space going, I need to change. Like, everything I'm doing is pulling me so far away that if I want to get back to where I want to be, authentically, true to myself,
yes.
I've got to have that hard conversation firstly with myself.
With myself, yeah.
To whip myself back into shape, but then also to own that and have the conversation with the people around me. Like, my coach was probably extremely frustrated with me at that time. In hindsight.
Yeah.
So it was even having the conversation with him. It was having the conversation with my mum. Hey, I've been doing this. These have been my behaviours. I want to get here and I need your help because I need you to get me to the gym because I can't drive.
Yeah. And that's so hard to come in and essentially say, I was wrong, like to yourself and to your family and to your network that, they're always there to support you. Yeah. And you're kind of like, I've been like fluffing off doing something.
Well, whatever. I was like, of course I want to come back. Yeah, of course I do. Of course it's important to me. Yeah, of course I want to get better.
Yeah.
Of course my strength's important. But was I actually doing it?
Yeah, no actions that was saying
talking the talk, not walking the walk.
Yeah.
But, my mum tried, my coach tried, everyone tried to, you've got to do these things if you want to get back. Yeah, I know. And obviously, of course I'm doing them. Clearly not. But it was that self-awareness and that ownership and that calling up my own behaviours to get back in that space. So just being able to identify what are my behaviours and actions that are taking me so far from where I want to be.
Yep.
And then getting back in that alignment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I definitely have my own example of that as well, which was when I was around 14, 15, somewhere around that age. That's when I really started experiencing a lot of like skill challenges and mental blocks.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily with the actual skills. It was the transition between skills, seeing out of one and going for the other.
Yeah.
And that's really unhelpful when you either have to do 10 skills on a trampoline or two skills on a double.
Yeah.
There's just not one.
Singular skills
one
are great.
skill sport. Anyone? So it's really, really tough. But I realized that at that time, it took me until I was maybe, 20-something to be like, okay, what can I do here? Because I'm just sitting in it.
Yeah.
I'm just letting it be hard, and I'm just sitting in it, and that's self-sabotage. I'm just letting this happen. I haven't even looked for that many answers. And you can always say, I hear it all the time, and I hear myself, I've tried everything. Chances are you haven't tried very many things, and you haven't tried them to the full extent that you could.
Yeah.
And I learned that the very hard way, because the first time I tried something to the full extent, it worked. And I had spent how many years trying everything?
Yeah.
It's just a lie that you tell yourself to let yourself off the hook.
Yeah. Let yourself feel better.
Yeah.
And I think just on your point when you said, sitting here, what can I do? I think we sometimes forget our brain is a muscle and it needs just as much training as every other part of our body.
Yeah.
So it's a conversation again I've had there. It's getting so much better but there was always a stigma around needing psychology, mental health, those kind of things. But you go to a gym and you train technical stuff. You go to an S&C gym and you work on all your other muscles. You go to a dietitian to fuel your body. Like, what are you doing for your brain? Like, your brain also needs attention, training. Like, you can't just know these things.
Yeah. And
I don't just know these things.
I'm an advocate for maybe it's the most important, because you can't do this journey without your mind being...
I'm going to do a little exercise with you at the end of the podcast, which I think is... We'll record it, because it is one of the most aha moments
love it.
around how powerful your mind is. And I agree with you. I think your mindset is the most important thing that you
most
have.
ignored.
Most ignored.
Yes. In sport, it's getting so much better.
Yeah.
But like, there's not really management tools, I would say, at this point in time on site. Like, and you can't expect everyone to be trained in everything.
Yeah.
Like, your coach can't be a psychologist as well.
No.
They can be a support in the web, but they can't be a psychologist as well. So how can we integrate more support mentally into the training space? Because that's when it's happening, and that would be really useful, I think.
And watch this space.
Watch it.
Watch this space. I think that ties beautifully into, though, the importance of the internal narrative as well. And I will share with you a great story where this really, really came out to play. So, World Cup, China. I was already a bit like, the flight is so long, because having been from the UK, everything was so very easily accessible. We hopped around Europe for our competitions, and it was a couple of hours flight. The Aussies would always arrive, and I'm like, why are you so tired? With absolutely no understanding of just quite how far it was, and, the time zones they had to travel through. So, again, young me, totally blissfully unaware. But we had to go to China, and we had to travel across the time zone. So probably my first, beyond South Africa, which was just, we had like 2 weeks to acclimatise. Yeah. China was my first real experience of that. So I was like, it's this like 7-hour flight to Shanghai, and it was long, and it was just everything, So I got there, and it was like, God, I'm so tired. And then it was hot, and it was humid, and we were like, oh, God, this is so sticky. And I remember walking in to the training hall and the competition venue, and it was a red tumble track. And I just looked, and I was like, I can't tumble on a red tumbling track. Like, what a princess. But
just so FYI, they're usually blue.
They're usually blue. And I walked in, and I'm like, it's red. I can't use a red floor.
How could I possibly?
How could I? Yeah. So training already, like we had a couple of days of training and it was like I just couldn't do anything because I'm like, well, it's because it's red. It's just a rubbish floor. And I don't even know where it stemmed from. Like, I don't know what was driving that. Like, I don't recall any bad experience on a red floor. It was just like, it's not blue. I can't train on it. I'm tired. It's hot. Like every possible external factor under the sun became my internal narrative. So literally, like probably before I got on the plane, I was not going to have a successful competition.
Yeah.
So even the morning of the competition, I remember laying there and it was like you have your little warm up in the competition hall and I was just asleep on the run up. Like I was like, I'm too tired. Like I can't do this. So
too much. Yeah. Isn't it funny? And that's the same as like what you were saying when you're in the like it's the all too hard headspace.
Oh God! Like
you couldn't pick a like harder place to try and perform from. Like
it was.
I know
it was unbelievable.
So
So I just kept telling myself, and that continual narrative of like it's a red floor. I'm not going to be able to do it. I can't get the timing. It's not bouncy enough. Like everything. Yeah. Like it's like Sam. It's just the color of a carpet, but it was this huge thing. So guess what? I did 7 skills out of 8. Didn't complete my tumbling pass. Did a straight jump on the end.
Yep.
Had a rubbish competition. Figures, right?
Yeah, and it's almost like now looking back at it. If you had have seen yourself before the comp, you could have called it, right?
Could have called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had comps like that where when I look back at what I was focusing on, like for example, I was focusing on I need to get this score rather than I need to do my pass to the best of my ability, you know?
Yeah, so you get so fixated on that thing and then that becomes your whole narrative and that narrative switches your mindset and then that impacts you physically.
Totally.
So the flip side, I did a competition in Russia, Stars of Tumbling. It's quite a big competition in the tumbling world. So the qualification day was in like a school hall. It was pure chaos. There was people everywhere. And then the finals, get this, was in a football stadium. So because they wanted bigger space, bigger audience, it was televised. There was these mascot things jumping around. There was live bands and music. Incredible experience.
Yeah.
We turned up and the full stadium was in sun. So we're like, oh my God, like how are we going to tumble? And it's this
outdoors
blinding sun. We're all there putting our sunscreen on like we're going to get sunburnt. So you're slippery.
That's such a weird setup.
It was so bizarre.
Being about to tumble.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get there, but it's so funny that the sunscreen didn't face you.
Oh no, I was like, I'm going to be blinded by the sunlight because obviously, you know, tumbling, trampoline, most sports where you're throwing yourself in the air, diving, I would imagine, you're spotting the floor.
Yep.
So to be somersaulting and seeing the sunlight and then having to like see the floor, it was very like nothing I'd ever experienced. Mm-hmm. But then the spanner in the works was like obviously you got warm up and competition takes time and in that time the sun is moving and the shadow of the tumble track was moving.
Yeah.
So it got to the point like I would compete a pass and I would be like 4 skills in the air. So I would take off for a double somersault in the middle of the tumble in the shade and I was landing in the sun and then having to finish the rest of this like routine.
Yeah.
And I did it and it was quite controversial. I came second and the 2 Russians got a joint first. There was I got apologised to. It didn't matter. Like it was.
You got apologised.
I did. And because it was televised and it was prior to the World Championships, it was a big event where, you know, politics and publicity.
Yeah,
but that's regardless. It was just weird. I could have let that could have been another moment of like, I can't do this. I can't take off for a skill in the shade and land in the sun and not to mention these mascots on the drums and just chaos.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, this is cool. Like, haven't experienced this one before. I like this tumble track. You know, and I had this completely different mindset and even some of my teammates that were there with me, they were like, oh my God, like stressing out because of this. And I'm like, guys, you know your skills, you know your body, like forget it, just spot the floor, ignore the sun. And I was like, who is this? You know?
Yeah, they were having their red floor moment.
Yeah, they were, exactly.
Yeah.
So my narrative was completely different. I had such a successful competition. I did new skills, like new passes. I'd never put these passes together, completed them brilliantly. constantly. So to me, that was, again, on reflection, another minute of like, wow, what I'm telling myself, my internal story has such an impact on the output and performance that we have to be aware. And if I ask you the question, like, who do you speak to the most? Like, what would you tell me?
Like, about
anything. Like, who is the person you talk to in your life the most? Sean, yeah. I would challenge you and say that the person you speak to the most is yourself.
Okay.
Because we are constantly having conversations with ourselves. You think even if you're just driving somewhere, you're talking to yourself before you do something new, before you go anywhere, when you're getting ready to go out, like anything we do, we're always constantly like having those conversations in our head.
Definitely.
So what we tell ourselves is so important. So if you're negative, if, I don't look good in this and I can't do, that's not going to suit me today and like you've got to be really aware of how you're speaking to yourself.
Yes.
Especially first thing in the morning. Sometimes you go, oh my God, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
If you start, of course you're going to be tired. You're telling yourself you're tired.
Yeah.
So just start to reflect a little, like pause. Think about how you're speaking to yourself throughout the day, in training, if things are hard, like all of those things, because it's really quite wild the impact it has on the output.
Yes. I think a massive point there is I've heard a lot of people say it's when you're changing how you're talking to yourself, it's fake, like it's not me. Well, maybe not.
But you've got to be your own biggest cheerleader.
I challenge you a little bit on that one and say like, well, is the version that you're presenting currently, is that the best version of you? Do you enjoy talking shit to yourself all the time?
Well, exactly. Who do you want to be?
Yeah, and it might be the current version. But it might not be the self-actualized version, the authentic self, the true you that really can really shine.
And exactly. And it comes back to, who do I want to be?
Yeah.
Like, what's important to me? How do I want to come across? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to achieve? Because you have to be the one accountable to get yourself there. And a big part of that is that self-belief, self-talk, all of those things are going to come into play. So if you're, like you said, talking shit to yourself, guess what? You're pulling yourself down.
Yeah.
So being aware, just taking a moment to acknowledge. And if you catch yourself, like this is the other thing, the minute you catch yourself just starting to go down that negative narrative, is stopping it right there. And you know what? But also acknowledging it.
Yes.
Like, you have to acknowledge, like, yeah, you know what? This might not feel the best today. Or, no, you know what? This might not look good, but that's okay. It's okay. And thanks self for feeling this way, but I'm going to disregard that because that's not going to help me get to where I want to go.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah. So that's narrative.